Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 235, and today we're doing battle in the Foundation's Gauntlet. And so we got the Prime Glory in our previous video. We're going to be iterating on the same strategy. To get you up to speed, in case you missed that one, we are looking to ban out Jinx Draven. I don't feel like there's enough good aggro decks in the format to bring things like triple aggro, and so I don't really want to be dedicating a bunch of space within our deck list to be good against decks like Jinx Draven, since it's like the only kind of tier 1 aggro and everything else feels much weaker. So that's the deck we look to ban. Then the next piece of the puzzle, this is best of 1. With the pick and ban and a not best of 3. And so even if our opponent brings triple Shadow Isles lineups, we should only need 2 decks that are good against the Shadow Isles, right? If they ban one of our anti-Shadow Isles decks, then we still have the other one backed up. And so to combat the Shadow Isles, we're looking to play the Harrowing. And so we have a Freylord Overwhelms Harrowing deck, and then we have a Noxan Overwhelm Harrowings deck that we're looking to battle through the typical defenses of things like Avrosian Sentry and Vile Feast. That's where the Overwhelms come in. And then the Harrowing is just the ultimate big game ender, requires a Ruination to stop, and typically just outright wins the games in those matchups. The deck list we have to just kind of deal with everything else is Ashe Katarina. Ashe is extremely strong against the go tall decks of the format, like things like Elites, things like Fiora Shen. The Frostbites in there, the lack of interactivity from the opponent do not really deal with Ashe particularly well. And so, with those ideas in mind, we can pull up the deck lists. We have our Tryndamere deck. This is our Freylord Harrowing deck. It's got a bit of mid-game flavor to it, with all of the unit boosting between the Omen Hawk and the Avrosian Outriders. But once we get out of the initial early game, we're looking to really take over with the Overwhelm, starting with the Mighty Poro, but then leading into the Outriders, the Reaver, the Ancient Yeti, and Tryndamere himself. Then if the game again goes late enough, we have the Harrowing to come down, give us a big board of Overwhelms that should be enough to overpower our opponents. We do still have a little bit of interactivity in here between 2 Brittle Steels, 2 Shatters, 1 Avalanche, and 2 Harsh Winds, just to give us a little bit of a something to do. Granted, if our opponent says like brings a Zed and a Jinx Draven deck, we need a little bit of interactivity to deal with the likes of that Zed. Deck number 2. This is the new one from the previous iteration. I'm not the hugest fan of playing the Fearsome's Harrowing deck, and so I did move us back over to the other Overwhelms version. This does give us the space to still play with Elise. We aren't too heavily into Shadow Isles to where we can't play the Basilisk Rider, and Elise does still have opportunities to flip in a deck like this, since we have a minor Spiders package with the likes of Precious Pet, House Spider, and Arachnoid Sentry. And so otherwise, same kind of idea as the deck before. This one has a bit more of aggro touch in the early game, but we're looking to just deal a bit of damage, hopefully win the game with our mid-gamey Overwhelms. Here we have the Basilisk Rider, crowd favorite, Kato, Captain Farron, and Darius. And then if that's not enough against all the Shadow Isles, we still have the Harrowing to come in and help close down the game. Last but not least, we have our Ashe Katarina deck. This is very similar to what we played in the previous video. I did take Darius out of this deck to move him into our Harrowing deck, and I did cut 1 Brittle Steel for the second copy of Harsh Winds. I don't feel like we're seeing enough Zed to warrant playing triple Brittle Steel, and I felt like we were running into a game or two where we were having a touch of trouble flipping Ashe, and so I wanted to have access to the second Harsh Winds. Otherwise, this is what you would call a Blood on the Ice deck if you were coming from Expedition, looking to take advantage of the flash freezes. They not only level up Ashe, but they have double synergies with things like Calling Strike that'll kill a flash frozen unit, Rhinefang Wolf that also kills flash frozen units, and then Trifarian Glory Seeker, which can ideally survive a challenge if the opposing unit has 0 health. And then at the end game, we have our Overwhelms with Captain Fair and Ancient Yeti in the event that Ashe isn't on the board to let all of our units attack for free. And so, those are the decks. That's the strategy. Let's go ahead, jump on into battle. And so, Ashe Katarina, red Harrowing, blue Harrowing. Let's go. Right, good stuff. Okay, so, interesting set. When I see things like this as to where the decks don't look particularly well tuned, I typically look to just ban Zed. I don't think I'm particularly worried about Z, P, and Z, but Z is the card that has like just the most oops, I win potential. And I don't feel like I'm worried about either deck. Well, I don't know what, kind of Elise Darius we're going to be running into here, but I'm happy enough to take my Tryndamere deck up against either of these, and I'm not really worried about whatever this kind of mid-rangey deck is over here to the left, the Freylord Demacia. It's not beating the Harrowing. And so I feel pretty decent regardless of which deck opponent brings out. Okay. He brings his Tryndamere offering. What do we got? We'll hang on to our 3, hang on to our Yeti, get him cheapened up, and then look for some more cheap friends out here. Not a bad start with the Omen Hawk turning up. And the Harrowing. A little bit early, but nice to know that we can just kind of maneuver our plays with it in mind, be a little bit more aggressive with our trades if we need to. Drop a little cupcake on him.
Approaching the battlefront. Form up.
All right, Vanguard Defender on the offensive. Not doing much defending, am I right? You're welcome. You're welcome. A comedy show be coming out Friday night, 8 p.m. Glad to have you. But here, let's take down the Vanguard Defender. There is a bit of risk in attacking the Marksman. If he has a Radiant Strike in hand, we're going to lose our Rhinefang Wolf, and I'm not super interested in losing him right now, and so we'll just leave the Marksman up. We can deal with him with a Brittle Steel, ideally. All right, we'll drop in the Trapper. We could put a unit on board that can interact with both of these well, right? If we wanted to put the Ancient Yeti down, it's a little bit better at shutting down both of his plays. But I like the idea of the Yeti just continuing to cheapen up. We can add the Scar Maiden Reaver next turn. I don't suspect he's going to have a great answer to it, and then we can still control the board a little bit with this Rhinefang Wolf.
Pillage and burn.
Play a 0 attack unit, bro. How you feel about that? You gonna drop Galio? I'll let you. I'll allow it. You're short on mana. He's not in Foundations, but if you want to drop Galio into our Rhinefang Wolf, I think I'm okay with it. Petricite Broadwing. Not as excited about Petricite Broadwing.
We'll take what we want.
All right, let's see how it goes. Not too many combat tricks that they could have here. Wow. Really surprised to see him just give up the Vanguard Sergeant and not just take the damage. Works for me, though.
A fine new scar.
Works for me. We're getting pretty well set up for a big open attack next turn. Like, do we even want to play the Sentry? It's like his chances of attacking are so low. All right. I said no. I've decided against it. Well, maybe the chances weren't as low as I thought. It's just so weird. He had like no combat tricks on the previous turn. To see him now attack with the Hearthguard into just a bounce off of the Scar Maiden Reaver. Little odd to me. Alright, I think we're pretty safe though. You do have to start worrying about shit like Judgment here, but I mean, I guess our Reaver does survive a Judgment, and so let's just go ahead and send everybody in. That's the only card I think that would really cause us a lot of fits right now coming out of Demacia Freylord. He puts a Hearthguard in front of our 5/7 and plays a Judgment. But it does get us into having the Harrowing for the next turn. Take Heart. Okay. You got it, Broheim. Brozilla, Brodio. Heals unit. Okay. You have the most heart, Angel FX. You've got double heart. It's been taken. Not a great shatter. You got to say that sometimes when you pick up. Oh, thank you. When you pick up the frostbites at an opportune time.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
Our banner will lead the way.
So, I mean, I definitely want to be putting damage on this unit because we're going to try and close this game out with Overwhelms. I'm trying to think of what the Harrowing will bring back, though, right? So say we block with our Enraged Yeti. That's going to essentially deal 6 damage to the opponent, right? I get that that's not exactly how this works, but if we're attacking with the Scar Maiden Reaver and he blocks with the Hearthguard, whatever we can overwhelm through, it's kind of like getting damage in. And so I think I want to just put as much as we can in. It's too bad he didn't attack with his other units. I was hoping he would let us clear out more of this board. It's like, do we really want to Harrowing back 2 units? Probably not. But Rhymefang Wolf, kind of interesting. It should give us a chance to try and shatter down the Hearthguard. I'm curious if we drop a shatter onto the Hearthguard, if he then responds with a 4 Demacia. Like maybe he does. I don't know. It doesn't feel terrible. Right? That's his way to protect the Hearthguard from the Rhymefang Wolf.
Set it all ablaze.
All right. I'm a little suspect of what's about to happen. I feel like in a kind of perfect world, we would just be throwing our units away here, right? We would just slam in with... there's the Judgment. I was going to say we would just slam in with all of our dudes, assume that we get some board clear here, and then on the next turn, the next attack token Harrowing. But with the 4 Demacia in hand and some dudes, there is like a very real chance that he would kill us on this upcoming attack, especially with this 11 power dude on board. And so I think we got ourselves in a decent spot now. I mean, if we have to worry about a second Judgment, then I mean, you got us. If you got 2 Judgments in the units to cast it on. All right, well, we got the big boy off the board. Let's see if it's enough. You think it's gonna be enough? Are we gonna run into more shenanigans? Maybe, maybe not. Got to see the scary hands all coming out of the ground. Yeah, he put a Yeti. I don't like hitting the Trapper. I don't want to have to draw Yetis here. So he needs like a Harsh Winds to get out of this, right? Looks like he might have it. The way he blocked didn't. Okay. Oof. Well, that's what the Harrowing's here for, right? Did its job. GG. Alright, next battle. Okay. Reasonable enough stuff here. I assume that this is the Elusives deck coming out of Zed, Donger Control, and then Anivia. Anivia our standard ban in the event that he doesn't have Jinx Draven. So given the choice here, I would like to play our Ashe deck. Ashe is going to be the most interactive deck we have in terms of dealing with elusives that would come from Zed. But I'm not upset about playing any of these decks, and I'll definitely play all of them against the Donger. And the Donger it is. What do we got? Reasonable enough early start. I don't want to hold on to Calling Strike. The Donger costs like 8 mana, so it's gonna be a while before that one tries to come down. Let me try this. This is a thought I used to run into in Expedition. I might have mentioned it in some of these games, but when it comes to Omen Hawks, I would rather have 2 units with +2/+2 than have 1 unit with +2/+2 and 2 units with +1/+1, right? And so if you play them across staggered turns, like so we play Omen Hawk on turn 1 and then we draw a card, right? So we would have drawn Ashe in that space. Then the second unit in the deck is going to be the one that has +2/+2 on it. And then the following unit after that would have +1/+1. But if we wait the 1 turn there, that leaves us with this opportunity now to... that leaves us the opportunity now to get that double +2/+2. So here, this is a little scary. This is a little sketch, adding another 1 health unit to the board. If he's going to have Withering Wail, then we're really going to be suffering. But if we make it through the turn there, or if all he has is like the box, then I feel pretty decent about it. And so now Ashe can come in and cause some real problems. If he plays Vengeance, he's going to get nugged by the Glory Seeker. And then if he has a Withering Wail or whatever, we still get to hit for 7 with Ashe. Withering Wail. Okay. Works for me. Let's see how he spends that mana. We're about to come up on that Ruination turn. Okay, doesn't have it. So we can Hearthguard. Probably Hearthguard again next turn. See if we can't do some serious damage. Shouldn't be too many ways, like, for him to double summon units, right? That would be the awkward point. We have the opportunity to just, like, open for 7. He's already Vengeance, so he's not as likely to have it. But, I think this is fine. We can even reasonably, like, Icespell Archer Shatter this turn. Vengeance. Cool. So we'll definitely be trying to set up for an open attack on our next turn. With 2 Vengeances down, it's going to be tough for him to stop whatever we send in. Look at this. So many Hearthguards, though. So many stats. All the +3/+3s, please. Say, Bust, how many +3/+3s do you want? All of them. I want all of them. This is technically lethal with what we have on board, but I think we're safe to add Ashe next turn. He's a mana short of the Ruination, and so I think we'll find ourselves in a spot to be able to, if he has a Thermogenic Beam or a big removal spell on one, we can still kill with the other stuff. Got some kind of removal hanging out right there in the middle. Not enough, though. GG. All right, the new Freljord is rising. Feels good. I want to be a part of that Freljord. Give myself +3/+3. All right, so what do we got here? We got Ashe Braum, we got Fiora Shen, and then a Shadow Isles deck. I'm not usually worried about Hecarim, but I feel pretty decent against whatever this Ashe deck is. I think we can probably beat it, and then if we get to take a Freylord number against Fiora, I typically feel good about that as well. And so we'll take the Hecarim deck out. He leaves Ashe up, so that's the one we'll be taking. See if we get some kind of Ashe mirror match, or if he wants to bring in the Fiora Shen. I'll tell you what, dude, you play Braum, and I'll play Rhinefang Wolf. We'll see. We'll see who gets the better end of that. Right, reasonable enough start. Looking to play the Glory Seeker and then not attack. We can use it on turn 4, but we don't want to be passing up on our mana opportunities, right? Can't play the Glory Seeker with spell mana, so I'll have to come down and just hang out on the board for a bit.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
Pretty good chance he doesn't follow up with units, though, so we might have a little bit of getting them there. Interesting. I mean, so I would assume at this point he's got a Brittle Steel in hand. It's a very odd attack with the... Well, I guess we just can't block, right? So maybe it's not as odd as I was giving it credit for.
One arrow.
But we definitely have the board advantage. If he wants to add a dude, it's going to get hit with Ashe. He's kind of in a crappy spot at this point. Even if he has the flash freeze to stop, say he's like, okay, I'm not going to play any cards here. I'm just going to cast my spells and protect. He's not getting these 0 power strikes in with the Rhinefang Wolf. And so all looks good to me. Brings in the Bjerg. All right, well, I think that's how it goes. If he's going to Brittle Steel and kill our Glory Seeker, I think that's okay. Oh, he just doesn't have it. Wow. Wow. Okay. That wasn't on my radar as a possibility. So, excellent. Excellent. Now he has a way to come in and kill Ashe. That's okay. I mean, we could shatter the Rhinefang Wolf right now. How do we feel about that? Maybe that's the way to do it. Let's keep Ashe nice and protected, and then I don't think we'll be at the space to where we can lethal next turn, but if we pick up another Frostbite, then Ashe will flip next turn when she attacks. Add in our Wolf, we can add in our Glory Seeker. Next turn, we can at least add in a Yeti. Seems good. Definitely got board advantage here. House Spider wasn't a great addition, but
Can see the Devastian border from here.
looking good otherwise. This is the kind of space where some of these deck lists, I feel like I'm maybe like 1 or 2 spells short. I feel like we have been running into some of these spots to where we're just like a little bit lacking in the spells department. We get these hands to where we're just stuck on spells, and so I'd like to course correct that if we could.
Rosens, stand together. I'll cut them apart. Face me.
We need to do this. There we go. Now our Ashe is protected. All right. He's got an empty board. We've got a not empty board. Get a fresh card draw out of there. And oh, Katarina. Too bad we didn't get her down a touch earlier, but looks good. What you got for us, friend? Look at this. Yeah. Such prismatic. Mini prismatic. Good job, Katarina.
Swiftly now.
It's interesting. It's like I'm curious if we could ever come in and just kill the Ashe here. You know? Like throw our Ashe in front of the Ashe. Not with him having 6 mana, that feels a little bit scary to try and run into, but it's worth a thought, you know, worth a nugget of your brain power. So we'll send this Blade's Edge in. I'm going to play a Spider this turn as well. We should be ending the game next turn. So I want to go ahead and get that point of damage in. Our Ashe is going to be flipping when we attack as well, and so it should be over. All right, looks like Neg 18 coming in. He's playing Ashe. You know, decent chance he's going to have a flash freeze or something to stop part of this. But, you know, seems good. He's going to have to spend a part of it to stop Katarina from flipping. And then he's going to have to spend another part to prevent some damage. So he needs to have at least 2, or he needs to have a Harsh Winds. Okay, that was an Ashe flash freeze. So we're going to kill the Ashe he has on board, and then we'll be able to have another one out of the mix. That's how opponent would end up winning the game here, right? If he was able to... Oh shit, she flipped? That's a problem. That's a problem. We might still be okay here. We have a Crystal Arrow on top of our deck, so we can flash freeze whatever he plays, but I was definitely expecting her to be dead. Everybody gets a Crystal Arrow. Does he ever have a way to get Ashe over 3 attack? Right? We can Crystal Arrow this dum-dum, the Hearthguard, but we're at risk with Ashe. He's got to need like a Take Heart, right? I don't know. He is playing Braum, but doesn't strike me as a deck playing Take Heart.
Avarosans protect each other.
Alright, I think we're okay now. He's going to get a dude, that's fine. We can add in our Hearthguard. His biggest unit can't block. We should be getting 3 dudes in. He needs another answer for Katarina. We're making a lot of words. It sounds like we're about to be in a pretty decent space. So, you know, it sounds like it.
Quick as the blade. Show me a target.
I mean, I guess even the... Like, if we're going to just be going for the kill this turn, I don't think it's going to matter. But, like, Braum can't block and the Hearthguard can't block. Maybe we should have picked up one of these 3/3s so that we get to just punch in more damage. Right? If he had a Harsh Winds there, we weren't going to get a kill again. And that would have been That would have been worth investigating. I did autopilot through that one a little bit. Maybe we should have played around to Harsh Winds. But I took down victory anyways because I'm the best in the world according to ftpbus.com. So we got it. Okay, similar stuff. I'm going to come in and just ban out the Zed deck. This is the elusives are what are going to potentially give us the most problems there. Now that we potentially face a Fiora, I want to make sure that we have a deck with Frostbites in it. And so I don't know what Ezreal Katarina is. It doesn't seem like a deck you ever play. But if Fiora turns up, I want to have our Flash Freeze package. Oh, guess it is a deck you play. Lessons learned. So let's see. I think I'm okay with this. This is a deck to where whenever you're playing against PNZ, they tend to have just like a really big damage-based removal set, right? They're going to play Mystic Shots and get Exciteds and Thermogenic Beams. And having a big stat-based package plays pretty well into that, right? You can play Nox and Guillotine as a way to take down big units, but that should be all that they realistically have. And so what this is all about is hanging on to the Avarosian Outrider. I think you should have a lot of trouble with the big unit that comes out of this, but I don't necessarily want the Yeti here. Like, this isn't a matchup to where I think the Yeti is going to be particularly strong. Right? If it's just getting blocked by house spiders and stuff, he's not being the most effective Yeti he could be. I'd rather have it against something, say, like Elites, right? You get to take you down your opponent's 3-cost unit, then take down another 3-cost unit. It's a very effective use of your mana. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. That does not feel like a good start. That does not seem like a positive turn. All right, so we'll add our Wolf, because I'm going to play our Outrider this turn. So if he plays an Ezreal or something, I want to be able to get a hook with the Brittle Steel. I'm curious, though, do we ever want to just pass here? We're giving up on 5 damage. Oh, well. This is probably good enough. Okay. The mightiest of Poros. Look at all the stats on our friend here. He's got 6 stats instead of just 3. The big version, the little version, the big version, the little version. Nice. And man, I'm curious how to think about the Rhymefang Wolf in terms of playing against the Ezreal deck. It's no longer big enough to take down an Ezreal, right? It used to be a 3-2, now it's a 2-3. But it is capable of surviving a Mystic Shot now. Interesting. All right. We also could have looked on that turn to have played the 5-mana Ancient Yeti so that we could play double Poro this turn. But our mana at least worked out a little bit picking up this Sentry. Look at all these giant dudes. The big Poros, the big Yetis. I'm going to add the Sentry. I feel like it's probably just going to get hit with a Static Shock or something, but it's probably worth going ahead and getting on board. Shady character.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
Then I think we'll get a trade. I'm going to attack with everybody. He does have a value block onto this Avarosian Outrider, but if he wants to take 14 and have a unit that only has 3 health at this point, I feel like that's a fairly big win. Seems like he's kind of in that spot to where he needs something to go right, and he probably just has to come in and block a 6/6. Okay. Oh, so many poros. I did not know it was going to be the poro hour today. And I'm not planning on open attacking next turn. I feel like we're getting in this space to where he's not going to hit us with the Ruination, right? That would be your typical big reason to not flood the board. But we should be able to just add a bunch of dudes. I mean, he's already played a True Shot Barrage. I guess that's something to give a little pause, but I don't think it's enough to completely change the game plan here. He's going to Blade's Edge the Outrider. If he wants to attack with the Yeti, I'm fine to block with the Bjerg. It's kind of like the Bjerg gets some free damage in, right? If on the next turn we have 4 Overwhelms and he wants to block with the Ancient Yeti, he's taken a bit of damage. We can get a bit more Overwhelm in. But so I wouldn't be surprised to see him not attack. So I'm going to do the Mighty. I'm going to do the 3 mana... Or I'm sorry, I'm going to do the Rhymefang Wolf to try and hook Katarina. And then we're going to Avrosian Sentry. Save the big Yetis for an open attack next turn. I don't think we'll ever be able to lethal here. If we want to, we could still look to go Yeti plus Sentry, but again, I don't think the lethal's really in the cards. If he taps out too low, we can certainly pivot. Like, we can play the Sentry second, see what he does. Like, if he spends 8 mana on, like, Karina, and Karina AoEs the board or whatever, then we can change a bit, but I think we're going to be going for the Wolf into Katarina. A little scary, though. I felt like we should be overwhelming this one a lot more than we are.
See ya.
Safeguard our homes.
All right, well, here comes the squad. He doesn't want to block our Sentry. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Maybe he'll Calling Strike it. That would be more than fine. All right, well, we're slowly getting those damages in. Avalanche. That's interesting. It's good enough to get a kill on his Ancient Yeti. Get a bit of cycle through our Sentry. He has to be playing Karina, though, right?
No going.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What a perfect avalanche. Okay. So he's flipped now. I don't know. I guess there's I guess we should be like moderately scared of this Ezreal. Is this like 5 damage in hand or 3 if he starts targeting units? Well, where we're probably gonna fall here is if he has a Nox and Guillotine in hand, right? If he Mystic Shots our like our 3rd Yeti, yeah, this is most certainly a Nox and Guillotine. So he's going to be able to kill off all 3 of our dudes. Probably lost here. We got to find a Tryndamere or, well, no, that's not the way it works. You can't play the Guillotine 3 times here, right? You can play it once. Oh, we're damage short though? Well, we still had to open here. Otherwise he would be like we would play the Trapper, then he would just play Guillotine again. And then I'm not going to play the Trapper. I don't want to draw the Yeti. I want to draw a big Overwhelm or a Tryndamere or a Babbling Beard, the Harrowing. Just not... That random 5/5 isn't enough. He doesn't have Overwhelm.
Firepower.
Maybe the Funsmith was enough reason just to throw down a blocker, but I don't like it. I don't like it.
The world's a big place. Let's see all of it.
Nothing escapes my watch.
It's not bragging if you can back it up.
All right, so let's wait till next turn. Like, if we want to play the Trapper to attack with, we can just do that next turn. It gives our opponent a chance to do a little bit of stuff, but I hate this so much. We actually ran into this in the last video, and I got so lucky in that video because I messed it up a little bit. But as you're trying to get yourself into this space to where you need to just like draw good cards, and you're stuck playing the Averosian Trappers and putting the Enraged Yetis on top of your deck, it's so brutal. All right, this one's done. Oof, GG. That's tough. I'm not. This is where it kind of like ties into those spots as to where sometimes I feel like we just need like a little bit more value. And I'm getting like less and less impressed with the Averosian Trappers. It's like if we're going to be banning out a lot of the aggro end, you want those Trappers against things like Elites. And it's been impressing me less and less and less these days. The big high value play you make with the Trappers, you play the Trapper and then you play the Averosian Outriders, and then you make that Yeti an 8/8 Overwhelm. But if he doesn't have Overwhelm, it just feels so bad. And it felt so bad in that game as well. Just kind of meh. All right, let's salvage this one. So what do we get? What is this stuff? Oh, is this really going to be the Poros deck? The No Champion P&Z Freylord thing? I mean, I have to imagine that's what it is. I'm not... This is tough. It's like I'm not particularly scared of any of these decks in the general sense. I think they're all pretty terrible between Teemo and the P&Z thing. It's just we don't interact with elusives particularly well. But I'm still going to come in and just ban out the Zed deck. I think that's the one that's probably going to give us the most trouble. And I think we can actually run the Elise deck here, given that if we're just going to be coming in and going for a race, I would rather have the deck with a bunch of 1-drops in it and not all of the mid-rangey stuff that we have coming out of Freylord. So pretty reasonable start. It's like, do we want to hang on to Whirling Death? The idea being... say like opponent plays the Freylord Poro on the first turn and then wants to block with it later, then we can Whirling Death out of that block and hit a Greenglade Duo or something. And so I think I'm okay with it. Maybe that's just like too defensive and we should just be looking for like the 6th mana worth of units, but I think it's a reasonable keep given that our interactivity is extremely low. But it's like he's doing something with the Yetis, most certainly. I thought this was going to be like daring Poros with the whatchamacallit, the Iceborne Legacy. Okay.
I'll do better this time.
Want to keep our units around if he's going to be, if we're going to get this crowd favorite down on turn 4. Don't want to lose anything in the process. All the crowd favorites. It's like I don't really care about any of these units. He's going to add one more in. It's like I'm looking at this next turn, and we're just going to play a crowd favorite. And then on the following turn, we're going to play a crowd favorite. But it was like, do we want to give up on the +1/+1 for each of these just to hold on to Whirling Death? Probably not. I want to be punching in this damage next turn. Like, he's not super likely to be attacking here. I guess the Zonite Urchin might attack, but I don't think these other units will.
I salute you. If I fall so
Right. Interesting. I mean, I guess the next thing to worry about would be like a Poro Snacks, but it doesn't seem like that's coming at us either. I mean, this seems fine, I guess. We're gonna have a 6 Overwhelm, a 7 Overwhelm, and then a Basilisk Rider next turn.
One of us dies.
We can still add in one more unit here, so let's get another block. Well, right, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, Saboteurs 5, crowd favorites number 6. Okay.
Explosives primed.
Should we have even added this? Like, are we just going to overwrite it next turn? Like, should we have just played the Basilisk Rider here and then next turn played crowd favorite? I don't know. Doesn't feel like it's going to matter. He's not really doing anything here, but probably could have done that a little bit better. As he had this board full of 1/1s, I'm... Okay. I was going to say, I'm pretty reasonably happy to just trade away everything so that we don't get blown up by like a Poro Snacks, but I guess with Darius coming in, we're okay to overwrite one.
Scars. They'll never see it coming.
Okay, ready. None shall
Behind ya.
All right, well, he's only got one card. We got to feel pretty good about this here.
Don't let my size fool you. I'm ready, baby.
Neg 18 into 15. Looks appropriate time for some Laser Kitty. I think we've done it. It's only got the one card. Harsh Winds would get him out of this turn. Poro Snacks would get him out of the death, but the game should be over if he's trying to drop that stuff. He's going to not die but lose his whole board. Maybe he dropped his phone in the toilet, you know? You're trying to gauntlet at work. Tell your boss you're taking 15 to go shit. You sit on the toilet, open up the Runeterra, get in your game of Gauntlet, and then this happens. This is it. This is what happens. Say fun. I'm gonna go complain about this on Reddit. Foundation's Gauntlet. I lost. Terrible format. All right. Looks like it should be done. GG. All right. The Noxus Harrowing coming through.
we have done well. Noxus is proud.
Noxus is proud. All right, next battle. Back on track. The losses wiped away. Head on in. So what do we got here? We played this guy earlier. No, this is something a little different. But I'm curious what this Shadow Isles-y kind of Freylord number is. I'm still going to stick to our strategy of just banning Jinx Draven. But I'm curious what's happening with that one. I'm leaning towards just bringing our Tryndamere deck here and just coming at them with the stats. But it's like it's the one that's going to be weaker against the likes of this Elusive's Teemo Ezreal deck. But we'll see. I guess it's kind of coin flippy. But it should be a reasonable set against what he has. All right, so let's get rid of the Trapper. It's like I think I want to hang on to the Mighty Poro, and then I don't want the Sentry. It's like I just don't think these early game plays are going to do anything. Avalanche has the potential to be huge. That's like the one card I was actually pretty interested in trying to pick up here. But it shouldn't be Elusives. I mean, typically, if you, like he has the two PNZ champions coming out of Freylord, but typically if you see like Teemo in one of these off-faction things, he's with Ionia. You're getting Elusives that way. So, curious what's coming at us. Maybe it's Elnix. I think that was a popular deck with Ezreal for a while The Elnix looked at the top 10 instead of the top 6. I think that was a thing at some point. People were playing Ezreal control decks that the only units in it were the various Elnix, and so interesting though. Are you coming at us? He's got everybody. He's got the whole team today.
Never use my goggles either.
I'm just gonna go in with the harsh winds. We still have this mana behind to try and shatter Ezreal. And then it does stop both of his champions from doing whatever he's trying to do. I'm not particularly worried about the Teemo. And the Ezreal is kind of ignorable at this point, but that's probably like too much of a good shutdown to pass up on.
I'll scout ahead.
Okay. Never make this attack, just FYI. I know we don't have any mana, so it shouldn't matter, but nothing good ever comes out of that attack, only bad. Right? If you're going to make that attack with Teemo, what positive comes out of this? Right? You attack. There's no cards in this game that say, like, it's not like he's activating a Blade Dance or activating something that sees when you attack. I don't think there's anything that cares about. It's not like Vayne's on the board, right? If Vayne was on the board, you could make an argument for it, but these aren't the cases. And so, I know we had 0 mana here, but the only thing that could happen out of that would be negative. All right, well, he's got this Teemo stuff going. I guess it's okay. I'm going to look to just get the big Overwhelm package on board now. The Scar Maiden Reaver, the Mighty Poro, the Ancient Yeti. I don't think we're going to be cycling around and trying to play an Avalanche, but maybe we have to now that Teemo is going to flip.
Success is planting your mushroom seeds.
All right, well, let's just not make it super apparent that we're about to avalanche this board. It does suck if we say, like, attack with the Reaver, he blocks with the Chump Wump, and then we lose our unit to the avalanche. But I think the Chump Wump is the only unit he would be blocking with here. I think at the end of the day, he might just take the 9, and then we still get to avalanche Teemo down.
Excuse you.
Losing the Yeti. I mean, there is, of course, the argument that we should have avalanched first. So if he does want to make these blocks, he does have that knowledge that he's going to be getting the good combats, but we get to punch in the extra Overwhelm damage, right? So we would have had 2 damage through the Chump Wump here. Gives us a little bit more opportunity in the face of these larger units. All right, but we lose our Yeti. This does not feel good. We do get plenty of time with Teemo off of the board. I feel like this is the space to where he just says F you and plays another Teemo, but we have a lot of time if he's not down and attacking. And this is actually quite relevant with the Shatter. If he does play a new Teemo, he's already leveled up, right? He leveled up Teemo on his last turn. And so you can do some shenanigans to where you attack with level 1 Teemo, he gets frostbitten. You flip him in the middle of combat and he gets the +1 bonus attack. The opponent's not going to be able to do that kind of thing here. So that's a win. That's a positive. And then here I'm trying to imagine the units that we've lost to the Harrowing. Can we see it on this tab? What have we lost? Like 1 Rhinefang Wolf, 1 Ancient Yeti. When did we lose a Scar Maiden Reaver? I think that's, it's just played. So we just at the 2 units dead right now. Probably not really worth building into the Harrowing for next turn. Maybe 2 attacks from now. Did we get another rage quit? We're not just quitting over Teemo, right? he's just thinking on it. He's thinking on it.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
Maybe he's got the Reddit pulled up. He says this is bullshit. Taking a shit at work, trying to play my Teemo deck. opponents are coming at me with the with the no funds. How bad is this gonna be? He's attacking now, isn't he? Should we have shattered the big chump wump? Oh, that feels lucky. Like, this is a spot you ran into a lot in Expedition, is to where you kind of like decided on the turn to where you'd never be able to deal damage ever again. And that's what opponent has just hit here, right? Like, that combat on the last turn should have been the last time he got damage in. There's a very good chance he probably should have just sent the 6 damage in and said, well, okay, that's what I got. and now from that point forward, I'm just going to be counting on my puff caps to deal the damage, but he didn't go for it. He's got to block one of these. This is, again, a kind of spot to where, like, if you wanted to imagine that on the previous turn, he doesn't know what we're going to play here. We could have a lot of big extra damage coming in, but if you want to say, with this exact scenario, he could have taken us down an extra 6 damage and then had a few more points of prevent with the Puff Cap Peddler and the Chump Wump. Because then that would have definitely put us in a spot to where if we don't win the game on this attack, we probably lose the game. All right, though. The timer's going down. Interesting. Lots of bitching on the Reddit.
Not even a challenge.
You gotta start saying stuff like, why doesn't Riot advertise the game? Right? Why don't you make an advertisement? I wanna scroll through gizmodo.com and see advertisements for this game. But all right, reasonable enough stuff here. I'm gonna look to just ban out the Karma deck again. All of our Freylord offerings should be good against both of these Demacia decks, and so good with that. Let's say I pull up the twitch.tv and I see Amazon Prime free gifts for the players of Legends of Runeterra, not an advertisement. Let's say I see the World Championship, see that gigantic prize pool, not an advertisement. I need to see it on TV. I understand the sentiment, but I think to say that it's the game is not advertised is a bit false. All right, though, we're trying to find some interactive stuff here for the early game. We're up against this this Fiora only deck. The Frostbites should be quite strong here. Just as Fiora tries to get in combat, you get the big shutdowns with your flash freezes and stuff. So he's trying to go tall with the big singular champion. We should be able to combat it pretty well. Does suck if she goes up to 4 health. That causes us a little bit of problems in terms of these.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
In terms of the Shatter being able to kill Fiora, but kind of is what it is.
For the honor of my house.
Okay.
All the world on one arrow.
Does not seem particularly positive. I'm going to go ahead and just Calling Strike the bird. I want to be able to open attack next turn with Ashe and not worry about her getting blocked. So, well, I guess that's off the table now. But that was the idea for the turn. Probably not going to get it that good here. We'll see. We got a shot. Right, it's like he's just going to add some dude, and then that dude can now block Ashe. But I guess if he's like limited to like Fioras and stuff in hand, then he's not going to get too involved now. Okay. Still seems safe. Just take all the damages, send it on in. Pretty close to a lethal. you gotta see what we can do, but makes it a little bit more challenging with the wolf going down. Now, well, we can't get the lethal this turn either way, so let's just go ahead and send. Like, I was starting to like envision these scenarios that involve us getting a flipped Ashe this turn, right? So say we frostbite the Bladekeeper and then shatter it and try to do stuff like that, but the flipped Ashe isn't going to win us the game here, so I think this is fine. Just get built up to a nice Captain Farron, I guess. Out of my way, bro.
Let the bloodshed begin.
Now we're there. So when he plays an additional unit, we can flash freeze it. Ashe attacks, flash freezes whatever the other one is. Then we get that victory. Just a very... Wasn't a particularly challenging match here. This is what I'm talking about. Being able to take this kind of deck up against the non-Shadow Isles decks. A lot of them tend to be these Fiora decks like this that really do not want to see you playing Frostbites over and over again. It's like even if you're able to kind of like fight through them with the riposts or whatnot, it still leaves you in a spot to where you're trying to get, say, like 2 kills in a turn. You attack with Fiora, you riposte something, she still has 4 health, then you single combat a unit down. It really limits a lot of that if the Fiora attack just gets completely smoked by a Frostbite, right? You don't lose out on your board, but you're not really advancing towards the win. All right, though. Final battle upon us. See what turns up. We got a cat ready to turn up. You all might get to see him back here. See, back on this thing. I got a big kitty tree back here behind me now, and so I keep the thing on blur because I just keep there's like there'll just be like random piles of laundry and shit behind me, and I feel like that doesn't need to be a part of the video, but those cats will turn up back there on occasion. All right, is this still the same guy? Either way, I'm fine to ban out. We played this earlier, right? This Freylord G60B0. Like I don't. All right. Well, I'm still fine with this. Now we can play Tryndamere. We have the flash freezes if he brings Fiora. No, the previous opponent was playing mono Fiora, not Fiora Shen. So if he brings Fiora, we have some flash freezes here. If he brings the other deck, we still feel pretty okay. Right. So do we want to hang on to the double shatter package? I don't think so. I think we want to hang on to one, and then I want to try find unit boosters for the early game. There we go. There we go.
I am one with the land. Who goes there?
All right, not terrible.
You can see the Dabastian border from here.
Attacking, bro. Okay, cancel. Cancel. Not attacking anymore. All right, well, we got all the frostbites. That's a fact. Need just a little bit more stats for boards like this. It's like this is a space where the Yetis can be pretty decent, right? If we're not up against the physical Fiora, then this deck should have a problem or two with just a big pile of stats. All right, no attacks. I was trying to envision this here if we're going to be able to drop a shatter. We're a little bit short on that. Oh, damn it! We hit a Yeti instead of a the +3/+3 landed on the Yeti and not the ancient Yeti and not the enraged Yeti. There. Let's see if we can't get him to spend a little bit more mana before we try and shatter this Fiora. It is nice with her being down at 2 health now, though, right? She now falls to Brittle Steels.
The finest blades for my
I need only one to win.
Alright, kind of seems like he might have this built up to just being a prismatic barrier, but I think we still want to go for it. The thing that worries me about this is the Fiora now can't be Brittle Steeled. He's got something. I was expecting Prismatic Barrier. If he plays something like Rush, that would get him out of it as well, right? If she has the point of attack. Oof. Oof, friend.
Pillage and burn.
Right, little scary to not open, but we're kind of like far away from getting like really good attacks going, and so I wanted to have access to the Brittle Steel on this turn.
homestead. I'm through waiting.
We'll take what we want.
Let's take what we want.
Immediately. There is no dispute.
I'll stop you.
Like my blade?
My life for these lands.
Caretaker not moving over one. Ooh, a riposte.
Nature blesses her followers.
Glad to counterspell that one. So he gets to keep the big dude, but we get to keep our Overwhelm. Seems legit. Big trades across the board, that's all nice. Harsh Winds was a good ad. Okay. Seems reasonable. That's all you can ask for, right? Reasonable turns. That's all we can get. Alright, well we're going to be harsh winding this stuff next turn. Let's go ahead. Lock down the Lancer. He can attack with the Shen and the Caretaker now, but the Shen attacks can't feel good. He loses Shen to
Us here.
our Enraged Yeti. I guess if he wants to hook the Yeti with just to get it out of combat, that can be a thing, but putting 4 damage on Shen feels pretty decent as we're going to be
Followers.
coming in here with a bunch of Overwhelms. What was that? That was a fast. Is it going to be a single combat? It's too good. We get, again, it's like we're getting to deal so much damage with the Reaver. It kills off the Greenglade Caretaker and then does 4 damage to Shen. So now when we attack with our Overwhelms, Shen's only going to prevent that 1 damage. Alright, plan it all. And say I suspect he's probably going to pick up a barrier somewhere, but it's not the end of the world. Even a Shen flip's not that horrible. Just getting the bonus stats from Shen, we can deal with.
Leaping into action.
Stay out of my way.
How much Overwhelm do we have? 12? Like, do we want to hook us? If we hook a Lancer, he can put 5 health in front. Then we're only going to hit for like 6. Okay, this is fine. Maybe we should have done that just to kind of pull these bigger units out of combat. I think like opponent's kind of in this spot to where if he doesn't have these Swiftwing Lancers on the board, can he still win the game? And I guess they're putting elites in his hand, right? He can be like, LOL, I just hit a Cytheria, or LOL, I just hit a Tiana. And those will be kind of problematic, but we weren't like really forcing the blocks there with the hook on the smaller unit.
Nature blesses her followers.
All right, here's everything we got. He might be trying to bait us a little bit here. He did just Key Guardian a unit in his hand and then play something different, but These don't look like the biggest of baits.
Dark beckons.
He Key Guardian something and then didn't play it.
Night falls.
That's strange. Ask me. Bust, is that strange? Yes. Yes, it is. You have your answer. Alright, well, here come the Overwhelms. I could see an argument to just hook the Shadow Assassin. Like, that might realistically be his scariest unit if he's attacking with the Shen and boosting the Shadow Assassin, but not entirely certain there. Alright. Good enough for the victory. GG us. Go team. Go squad. We were able to do it. So, let's get some of these pulled up. We can talk about this a touch more. I'm still, pretty happy with a lot of these deck lists, but there's some things that I still feel like we should probably change. And so in the Tryndamere deck, I'm getting like less and less happy with the Avarosian Trapper. Like that matchup, it's fine, right? As you're out here playing decks that are just trying to put stats on the board, right? If you're playing against elites and they're like, oh, here's a bunch of 3/3s, or if you're playing against like that kind of Fiorish in there, then it's not that terrible. But I've just been like running into these spaces more and more to where the Yeti isn't super relevant, and it's kind of like limiting the draws that we can get. And so that's kind of like piece one of me not being really excited about the Mighty Poro. Piece two is I'm running into these spaces to where we're just having a bunch of units in our hand, and we're looking for just like a non-unit card to come in and do something. As we are like really limiting ourselves to just Freylord, it's kind of a spot. But that's not to say that we couldn't just be like, okay, well, I'm going to play one copy of Vengeance, right? Going from 2 Shadow Isles cards to 3 isn't that big of a difference, and it shouldn't make an ultimately like a giant change in the percentages for our Avarosian Outriders to hit. And so I'm gonna have to kind of like look in there and try and see if we can't tweak just a little bit. But those trappers are where I felt a little bit weak here. But you do run into the spaces to where we are like really limited in just the choices that you can fit in your deck. Like if we pull up the foundations only units, where are we at? Units, foundations, Freylord. Like, these cheap cards aren't good, right? We're playing the Omen Hawks, we're playing the Sentries, we're playing the Icevale Archers. Could look to Stalking Wolf, but I'm not the hugest fan of it. The Starlit Seer, stat-wise, is fine, right? It was like a 2/2 when the game was released. It's a 2/3 now, so it does a little bit more in combat, but we aren't playing enough spells to really take advantage of the +1/+1. We're already playing the Mighty Poros and the Rhymefang Wolves, and so, like, once you get away from those, that leaves us in the space of, like, do I want to play Kindly Tavern Keeper or Avarosian Marksman? And not really excited about either of those. And so it is, just kind of a bit of an early game problem in here with this deck. This is probably one of these decks where you just be like, well, let's just play Elise, right? But we're playing Elise elsewhere. And so it's something that, those 3 trappers I could see getting rid of. Maybe you do just come in and play like 1 or 2 copies of Starlit Seer and then 1 or 2 other spells into your deck. But maybe we just look to play like 1 or 2 copies of, maybe it's just like you just play one copy of the Trapper, maybe 2 copies of the Trapper, then additional spell. But that's the place in this deck to where I feel like a little bit uncomfortable is the Avarosian Trapper. We've just ran into too many spots to where it's like we need to draw anything in our deck that isn't the Yeti, and we have to make these decisions to where it's like, do we play this unit just to get the dude on board and then have to just sacrifice our future draws? And it all feels pretty weak and terrible. And so overall, I'm still pretty happy with this deck. I really like this one. It's just the Trapper feels like the real weak link in what we've been doing here. Over with the next one, Elise Darius. We only played this once, right? But this was our kind of anti-Shadow Isles deck. I do like that it does have the potential to just run out here and be like, well, I'm going to try and aggro deck you, right? If we have to play either this deck or if we have to play Ashe against elusives, we would rather just play this one. And so it does have some game to it outside of just being a second Harrowing deck. And I like how this one has really come together. And so I'm still pretty happy with this one. I don't think there's any updates to this that I'd want to play after today. I know we only played it once, but I still feel like this one is pretty strong. Last but not least, we have Ashe Katarina, and I still remain quite happy with this one. But this is another one of these decks is to where I feel like it just needs like one more spell, right? We run into a lot of these hands to where we're sitting on a bunch of house spiders and never really playing them, and it feels like maybe we could cut one house spider since we aren't playing against Jinx Draven, and then just fit in another spell and just a little bit of something to pick up a touch more value. Wouldn't even be opposed. It's like if Whispered Words was in the format, I would be pretty excited to cut House Spider for it. But nonetheless, I think from a conceptual standpoint, I really like what we're doing in terms of the two Harrowing decks and then Ashe. It's just a couple of the last spots that feels like we haven't completely perfected yet. But we're getting close. We're getting good. I'm pretty happy with the lineup and the concept, and we've been having a pretty good amount of success with this. And so, nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.